Alright, welcome back. In the last video, the last video, video 7, we started creating just some foundations for our player and our platformer. And then in the last video, I gave you just a quick challenge to create 2 simple animations, because I showed you how to create the big one, which was the run. The jump and the wall grab are simple, easy 1-frame animations. I know there's 2 for each one. Really, you just need to grab the first one from each and you can call it a day there. So let's go ahead and switch over to our script. We need to add a few things here first. We're going to need to add a variable count, because the first thing we're going to do is our double jump. And so let's go ahead and add that down here, just to sort them out. If you wanted to, you could Godot doesn't have, you can't create Godot headers in Godot the same way you can in Unity, at least to my knowledge. If you figure it out, let us know in the comments. But we're going to create that for our jump count, and then basically what this is going to say is it's automatically setting our jump count number to 0, which is what we're going to want to do. We're going to change up our handle jump function. If you scroll down to our function handle jump, and we're actually going to do change it up in a few ways. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to reset our jump count to 0. So yeah, right, so that's what this is going to do. And I'll put the comment up here: reset jump to 0, jump count to 0. There you go. All right, and then the next thing it's going to do is it's going to jump from the floor first and add a count to, and then it's going. So let's go ahead and add that. So this is our previous jump code here, just like that. And so basically, if you press UI accept and the spacebar and he's on the floor, then we're going to do the jump code and add a jump of 1. Okay. Else, what we're going to do is we're going to add an else if statement afterwards. So if we backspace here and add that in there, it's going to say else if we press it again and the jump count is less than 2, then we're going to jump again, run the jump code again, and add 1 more to our jump count. So if we press save, we go to our level, right? So you should have, because I know in the 7th video that I told you guys to go ahead and build like a little level with a wall and maybe a platform. So if you didn't, go ahead and do that now. I just realized that for some reason I have that extra platform there. So there we go. Let's remove that and let's go ahead and press play. So running, I haven't really we haven't tied in the animations yet, so we will probably towards the end of this video, depending on how long it is. But if I press jump, there's 1, and I press it again, there's my double jump. I can jump on this platform, I can jump up there, but if I just go without the platform, I'm not quite high enough to reach it. Now you could just increase the jump, but look at how fast he slides down. We're going to add a little bit of a wall slide there. That way we know, like that way it gives just a little more believability, I guess you could say. So let's get to it. So back in our player script, what we're going to do is the first thing is we're going to add a friction variable. It's a constant, so I just added it up here with the others. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'll probably just put it underneath the jump velocity for no particular reason, except for that it's the most recent one for me. And then we also added this boolean called is wall sliding. That's just going to check to see if it's wall sliding. We're going to create a variable in here under the physics process, so I don't forget about it, and it's going to be called wall slide, and we're going to need to pass through delta, and we're going to go ahead and create that or define that right now. So if we scroll down here, I'm just going to put it here under flip facing, that's fine. And we have this wall slide delta function. So what it's going to do is it's going to check if I'm on the wall and not on the floor, right? And if I am, then you can press the left or right button, and it's going to determine that wall sliding is true, or otherwise, if you don't, then wall sliding is false. And then it's just defaults back to if none of this is true up here, then wall slide is automatically be false, right? So checks on wall if you're on the wall and not on the floor, and if that's true, then are you pressing the left or right button? If that's true, then wall sliding is true. If it's not, then wall sliding is false. Otherwise, if this initial part is not true, then wall sliding is just automatically false. And then we're going to check this, and then what we're going to say is if you are wall sliding, then we're going to limit the downward falling speed by using this minimum function. And what we're going to say is basically we're capping it so that we're forcing them to descend at a controlled slower rate, which is this friction variable here. So let's go ahead and press Control S so everything saves. Let's go ahead and press play so we can test that out. So if I double jump and I'm not pressing the right button, I'm falling at a normal rate. But if I double jump and hold then the right button, then you see that I'm actually falling at a slower rate. So there's that. You can increase it, the friction, to make it even slower if you want by just changing this variable. So for example, if I press, we'll say 200, we won't increase it by that much. Let's restart, and then let's come over here, press it. I think I'm supposed to go down actually, so let's try. We'll try 25. Now let's restart it. So I just got a little mixed up in the numbers. There you go. So bring the friction rate down, and then the lower the friction rate, then the slower he'll go. So there we go. And that makes sense because our speed is 300 and we're actually slowing down our speed with this. So now something I wasn't initially gonna do, but I mean it is kind of a staple in modern platformers, is to be able to fall down through platforms by either holding down and pressing jump, or just like pressing down on it all together. So let's go ahead and try to work that out together. So as you can see, we have this platform here. If you select the specific tile that you have here, there's and you have your physics layer enabled. If you come down here, there's this little checkbox. You can't see it all the way, but if you hover over it, it should say the name of the tile square and then one way. What you want to do is you want to check that box on. So I'm going to do that for each of these 3 tiles. It looks like it set it up there already. I may have to actually create a new physics layer for it because I don't want to accidentally do the put it here. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Let me go ahead and uncheck that for those squares real quick. And I'm going to create a new physics layer here, and it's going to be layer 1, and it's going to interact with 2 only, because in this case it's I only want it to affect the player. So let's click on here, and let's go to physics, this new physics layer, and I'm actually going to draw it. Let's go back real quick. I want to delete this real quick, So not zoom in, that's not what I wanted. I want to clear it and then click on these because you're going to be handled by a new one. There we go. Now we're going to go to physics layer 1 and we're going to click on these 3 and we're going to then check this box there. So now these 3 should be handled by that one-way collision. Now let's go ahead and save what we got going on and let's go back into our code. So for this we're going to need to add a few checks here. So what we're going to need to do is define a new function, and it's going to be called check pass through. We're also going to want to change these collision layers because I have it set up for turning off collision layers, and I'll kind of explain how that works. So we'll make sure this new ground layer is, let's see, what aren't we using? I click on edit layer names. We'll just bring it down here, and we'll say we'll just remove the enemy one because we don't have an enemy in there yet, and we'll just leave it on 3. So we'll say one-way tile. Whoops. There we go. We can close that out, and let's see here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to set our collision layer here to 3. We're going to turn off this first physics layer mask to interact. If we had it interacting with 3, we don't need it to interact with another ground tile. So let's see here. Now let's get to our code. So we have this for this check pass through, and what it's going to do is it's going to check to see if we pressed the down key, and from there, if we did, it's going to turn off this switch here, and if it does turn off the mask for 3, and then, or rather, sorry, when we go to the player, it'll be easier to explain. So we have this check for pass through. If we press the input, if we press the down key, it's going to turn off our collision mask 3, which is our one-way tile. If we didn't press the down key, then it's going to make sure that the collision is set. Now, in order to check to see if this is going to work, we need to actually add this up here in our physics process. So let's type in check pass through, press save, and let's test it out. So double jump to get up there. We're up there just fine. If we press down, we fall through, and then we can jump back up there, and we're good. And because we created it on a separate physics layer, it's not happening to our ground. So there's that. Next is we have all of these animations that we created, and so but our player's not actually using them. So that's what we're going to do next. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to create some states. So at the very top of our script, we're going to add a few things. We're going to add an enumerator, which is going to be our states right there. And then we're going to add our current state, which I'm going to put that with the rest of the variables, just to keep things organized. So instead of having a bunch of messy conditions and scattered everywhere, we're going to determine our current state based on our velocity and our variables. And then we're going to use a match statement to play the correct animation. A match statement is Godot's version of a switch statement. It just reroutes the logic more cleanly, keeps things more organized. So what we're going to do is we're going to update our facing animation with a more complete animation function. So go ahead and delete your flip facing function, let's see where it's at. There it is. So I'm gonna delete this guy, and we're gonna replace it with this animation function right here. So let's walk through this. So we have our function animate, and it's gonna say if it's wall sliding, then set the current state to wall slide. If the jump count is greater than 0 and equal to 1, then set it to jump. If we're double jumping, it's going to set the state to double jump. If it's greater than 0 and exactly equal to 2, if it's less than 0, or if our velocity dot x is less than 0, then our current less than, I meant not equal to 0, then our current state is going to be set to run. Otherwise, we're going to set the current state to idle. So that's just all determining the state. The next thing is going to be playing the animation to match the statements. So if we're matching our current state, then and the state is idle, then we're going to play the idle animation. If we're going to our state is run, we're going to play the run animation. If we're jumping or double jumping, it's going to play the jump animation. If our state is wall sliding, then we're going to play the wall grab animation. And then we have down here our flipping the sprite based on our movement. But for all this to work, we need to come up here and make one change. We have this flip facing function that we no longer need, and we're just going to change it to animate. Now, if all this works, we'll find out. Alright, so we are idling, and I'm running, playing the running animation. I'm jumping, and let's see if the wall grab works. So it does work. There's the wall grab. He's sliding down and holding onto the wall for dear life. And doing it like this is really neat because you can actually do lots of other things with it and add animations to it. So for example, if we wanted to add, say, a fall animation, so let's click on our animated sprite. Let's go to our sprite frames. If we wanted to say add an animation, and it's called fall, we can take this second portion of our jump right here and drop that in there for the fall. And if we wanted to add the state up here at the top in our enumerators, so we'll just add it here at the end and say fall. We can come down here now to our animation states and throw that in here to where let's see, where's our last y velocity? Right here with the double jump. So underneath this, we can actually add an else if statement and say our velocity dot y is less than 0, and then from there we can go here and say current state is equal to state dot fall, and so that's going to switch our state. And then if we come down here to which one to play, we can just right here say state dot fall and say sprite dot play, and then type in fall. As long as you're making sure that you're typing things in oh, I forgot the colon here. There we go. As long as you're typing in the names, make sure that you're typing in the names exactly how you spell them here. So now if I replay this, you can see that fall animation is playing, and it'll even do it here. So there we go. And now it looks like our player is actually doing a proper jump because he leaps up in the air, the foot's pointed up, and then as he's falling back down, the foot is pointing down in the direction that he's falling. So it even adds a bit more believability there as well. So Now that we've got a perfectly responsive 2D movement controller with a modular state machine, we've officially leveled up our programming skills today. In this next video, we're going to add a camera 2D and some smooth parallax backgrounds and visual polish. Keep learning, keep building, and I'll see you in the next video.